Alrighty, I already made this video, but then I found out that it wasn't recording my audio, so I have to remake it, so I'm going to run through this pretty quickly. If you, say, put the high orb, I mean, it'll also work with the low orb, but you'll have to do jumping heavy punch to trigger it. So if you put the orb out and you hit it with a jumping button that doesn't quite reach the opponent, and then you jump again, so long as the jumping normal triggers the bomb, that is the fastest that you can recover from a... Okay, that is almost the fastest that you can recover from using the mine. The absolute fastest that you can recover, as far as I'm aware, is triggering it with the low gunshot into trigger activation, because it hasn't quite exploded yet, but you're still able to act immediately. Which means you're able to lock them down for, like, a true block string like this. But the other fastest that you can act immediately after triggering the explosion will be whiffing a stand jab and then acting again, and even then you're not quite fast enough to hit the opponent before the explosion detonates. However, if you do trigger the explosion, you know, you're with the jumping button and then you land, if the jump in doesn't hit them, of course, you recover extremely quickly because it's an empty jump, and then you get to act immediately, which means that if you jump from like way back here and hit them, you get basically a free, safe jump in to be right next to the opponent because it's a true block string all the way through. Alternatively, you can also trigger the explosion by doing a precisely timed high jumping medium punch to go over the opponent's head. This does not work on tall characters, but yeah, you can precisely time a jumping medium punch. Like so, and then you will recover on the ground, able to do another action pretty quickly before the bomb explodes, and you can use this even from really long range to get empty lows. So you see that was 2 hit, which can only happen if the crouching medium kick hits before the bomb. So that was a jump in, fake the overhead, go empty low, and get a knockdown. Off of that, so if you do like jumping light punch into the crouching medium kick, you don't get too much off that. You might be able to just get super. You'll get uppercut in the corner, but yeah, it's better to do it with, like, say, jumping medium punch instead, because if it goes over their heads, it is a very precise win. Oh, there you go. But yeah, you can go crouching light kick instead for your empty low, and then you can get stuff off of that. Like, you can do EX catapult, you can do all sorts of stuff.
You won't miss. It's not done. Handle this.
And the added benefit of this is because you're hitting a jumping medium punch, it looks like they'll still have to block overhead, which will trigger their reaction to not block the empty low. Let's see, beyond that, we got new block strings because of the reduced pushback of standing medium punch on block. You can do light punch, medium punch, which isn't a frame trap to beat 3-framers, but it does combo on counter hit. And she has other frame traps that she can go for. Like so. And when you do light punch, medium punch, you are in range to get crouching heavy punch, so long as they're not backdashing it. And this is the optimal range and spacing for crouching heavy punch to beat faster moves with its good hurt box. And you know, if you train your action speed, you can hit confirm this into catapults or EX catapults on block, or sorry, on hit. So yep, that's pretty good. In the corner, you have various setups that you can do after getting the knockdown and setting up the mine. The setup that you do depends on how close you are, because if you do it from back here, like the long combo, you still only +9 after that knockdown, and the mine is a little bit closer to the forefront. So you might not be able to walk up and get like a light kick and a medium punch, which is generally a good option, I would say. Medium kick into gunshot will always put the gunshot the furthest forward. So even if you're pretty far away, if you do medium kick into gunshot, it'll basically always trigger it if the orb is sitting around or behind them from that setup. But most things in a medium kick are not a true frame trap, so you'll have to choose sparingly where to use that or hope your opponent doesn't know the matchup. Let's see, beyond that, I've also discovered that even at the most, like, the least height that you can get from this knockdown, the mine knockdown, is still enough to get another mine setup. See? So if I knock him down with crouch jab, and then I dash up and then put out another mine immediately, I'm +2 on their quick rise. So you do actually have the time with the juggle point to get it out, because if you do it any earlier than that, so if I do stand jab and dash up and do it, I hit V-scale, but it's 1 frame still within in the region that I'm not allowed to put out another V-scale while the previous one's still exploding. 1 frame too bad. So if I do that, doesn't work, have to trigger it with crouching light punch, and then I'm allowed to set it up, and it's +2 on the quick rise. And the higher height that the opponent has before that setup, the better it is. So if you like do a post-stun situation, like here, just a moment. So there, you can do a post-stun combo, like do that, dash twice, do the normal like BNB in the corner, and immediately, as soon as you recover, you can set up another low mine, and you'll still be +4, even on their quick rise. You lose out on a little bit of damage, but you still get a lot of damage out of that. Yeah, every time you use the V skill, of course, you're building extra V gauge, so that's handy. Let's see, other benefits to using V-Trigger one, other than, well, okay. So if you do like a setup into the orb, this somewhat allows you to be a little bit more loose with your block strings, or do longer block strings before you detonate the orb. Because if you do anything into air gunshot, and they block it, here. That gives you, it doesn't give you enough time to dash up, but it does give you the frame advantage to walk up and do a stand medium kick, which will, the cancel window moves her really far forwards, which means you'll always get the cancel into the Kugel, and it'll always trigger the mine, even if it's really far behind the opponent. And then you get an actual dash up into guaranteed plus frames in their face. So, yeah. That, you can, if the mine's anywhere near them, you can lock them down, and then you get like a free walk up and a medium kick to detonate it, and yeah, you can basically bully your way in. So if you can convince your opponent, or a tall opponent, to stay still for like a long period of time, respecting your like frame traps into the orb, you can set up long sequences that will eventually lead into a blocked jump in, which is much better in V-Trigger 1, because then if you can take a massive amount of plus frames and threaten them with the jump in like this. So like I can technically anti-air this jump in to set up the fuzzy block, but with the amount of plus frames that she has, she could also just jump and do another air gunshot. And that would blow up any attempt that I would have to anti-air, and it would hit me on the ground before I could jump for an air-to-air as well, because I'm locked down pretty long from the other one. The only part where this doesn't work at all, or can't be made into a mix-up, is this part, where as soon as you see that, as soon as you see the jumping medium punch cancel, which is a big part of what allows it to waste a lot of time, you can basically just jump out. Beyond that, you can also set up on like post-stun situations or anything like that. can also set up a late detonation so that it'll detonate them, and you can create cross-up mix-ups if they quick rise or back tech. So I back recover, and I still have to block that cross-up. But if they no tech, then the orb detonates. But there's a trick to doing this, is that if you set up a mix-up like this after a stun or something, you get an early knockdown. You can react to them not up-teching. You know, that you can react to them staying on the ground once you jump, and then you can do a dive kick as soon as you see that. And the dive kick will almost always, unless it's really late into the jump, the dive kick will almost always keep you on the right side. So even if they no tech, you're still not putting yourself in the corner, even if you were going to mix them up with a jump over. So that's a big benefit for the dive kick. And if you're reading that they are possibly going to no tech from this, you can then set up a different mix-up with some sort of frame kill into a meaty dive kick, or a meaty dive kick behind their head. And then even if they block the dive kick, they're still in a mix-up because they immediately have to guess cross-up or same side jumping heavy punch. Also, if you either in a post-stun situation or just landing standing heavy punch, or anything that goes into the overhead, or just landing the overhead outright if the mine is on them in the corner, you can immediately set up another mix-up, which is pretty brutal. This one is like the most optimal version of the post-stun mix-up that you can get by detonating the mine. Because this one, that was a cross-up. That one right there, I didn't even hold forward. I did not even hold forward, and that hit cross-up, but then I land on the same side. You do not even have to move from where you bounce off the dive kick in order to create a mix-up with this. Just very slight, indistinguishable changes in timing or direction will cause this to either go cross-up, then same side, same side, same side, or cross-up, cross-up. And lastly, we've got a super damaging, optimal, like, post-stun combo kind of things with V-Trigger 1.
I won't miss. It's not done. Handle this.
So yeah, there's a few different versions of this you can do. Some faster, so this is not a fast enough knockdown for them to not be able to mash out of that stun. But yeah, you can do that. You can also do something like that. Pretty high damage for a 1-bar combo. You can get higher by doing so that's like optimal with no meter. If you do the jump back into a precisely timed jumping gunshot instead, to use all the gunshots. Alternatively, you can do something else like something like that. 500 damage for 1 bar. So I mean, yeah, it's some pretty good stuff.